From the beginning of time, man has always had a pursuit of the best quality of life possible. That quality of life is not possible without resources. The form of resources we have accumulated has changed over time from cowrie shells, state-controlled money, precious metals, real estate, and stocks and bonds. Over the past 100 years, the world has been dominated by the US dollar and its reserves. But everything that has a beginning also has an end. A new financial revolution is upon us with the emergence of a digital economy. The way we earn, spend, and accumulate resources is fundamentally changing. A new asset has appeared that the wealthy have overlooked. Bitcoin has become the best performing asset of the past decade by far. With only 21 million ever in existence, there are more millionaires and billionaires in the world today than there are Bitcoin. Just by holding 0.25 Bitcoin today, will put you in the top 1% asset holders in the world in the next 5 to 10 years. If you would have invested $100,000 in Bitcoin in 2013, today it will be worth more than $15 million. Bitcoin billionaire Raoul Pal says, Bitcoin's performance is so dominant and so all-encompassing that it is going to suck in every single asset narrative dry and spit it out. Never before in my career have I seen a trade so dominant that holding any other assets makes almost no sense. This is not an industry you can afford to ignore. If you want to remain in business, then you must adapt. Are you offering services in Bitcoin? Are you accepting payments with digital currencies? Have you adopted blockchain technology? Blockbuster Video at one point was the most dominant video service in the world. They had the opportunity to be part of Netflix, but they ignored the changing technology. Where is Blockbuster today? Where will you be tomorrow? All right. It is time for another late night crypto talk. You guys can go ahead and type your name in the chat box where you're listening in from. My name is Brandon Ivey. I go with Bitcoin Brandon from Los Angeles, California. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule for being here this evening. I promise you we're going to keep this short on a very, very expansive topic. I can speak on this subject for hours, if not days, but I'm going to compact it into 30 to 45 minutes or so. And as a disclaimer, I'm not a licensed financial advisor to be giving financial advice. I read the news, give my opinion, share a suggestion, and it is up to you to make your own informed, intelligent decision on which direction you want to move into. Now, tonight's topic, I've been doing this series, maybe twice a week, late night crypto talk. The first night, we talked about how $1,000 could change your life in the crypto space in 2 to 3 years. Then we talked about poverty mindset, how to break the poverty mindset and what's the difference between being poor and broke, because they're not the same thing. Then we talked about the river of money. People need to understand that money is never scarce. It just changes course. And we just have to always be on top of where it is changing course, where it is moving to. And tonight we're going to talk about the future of money. But to understand the future of money, you got to know the history of money. And I'm actually doing this backwards because I have another series that's about money is energy. Most people don't even understand what money is outside of I need it to pay my bills. I need it to buy food. I need it to take care of my family. So on that basic sense, you understand that money is a tool, but money is actually energy that can never be destroyed, which is why since the beginning of time, there has always been money, but money hasn't always looked the same. We haven't always transacted the same. We always know that if one person wants something from another person, what are you willing to exchange to get it? What do you have of value that you can give this other person that they will give up their asset to give it to you. That's a transaction. There have been human transactions between humans since humans began walking. Everything is transactional. Everything is transactional. Weddings, what do you think weddings are? It's a contract. It's a transaction that's taking place. Every single culture has their own, what do you want to call it, celebrations when it comes to how two people hook up with each other, and how do you celebrate that, whatever traditions there are, a bond, a marriage, a contract. So everything is transactional. So I'm briefly going to explain a little bit about the history of money to paint the big picture on the future of money, because the future is here. This is not like Back to the Future, 1985, and you realize, man, not 30 years later was 2015, 30 years later, and we've reached that point and passed it already. I'm still waiting for my hoverboards. But if you watch that movie again and they go 30 years in the future, I mean, there are a lot of things they couldn't predict in 1985, what the world will look like in 2015. They couldn't predict. There were no cell phones. There's no internet. They did have where they were walking around with these big glasses. It's almost like VR. They did have that. They kind of got that right, kind of. They had hover cars and hoverboards and flying car, all that kind of stuff, but nothing like how we're actually living today. You couldn't predict that. And money, the way they did money was different back in Back to the Future. Well, let's go back. Where's my wallet? We all know, and we're born and raised to know that this piece of paper has value to it, okay? This means I can buy something with it. It means I can give it to somebody else and they give me what I want that is worth this value. In elementary school, we're taught about pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, half dollars. Anybody still have half dollars? The dollar. Some have $2 bills, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, and so on and so on. We're taught that, but we're never actually taught money. A good place, if you have an opportunity to travel, go to the main museum in London, the big museum in London, downtown London. And London, since the UK, the British Empire, had its hands in every continent on the planet, they had the opportunity to stockpile and bring back a bunch of artifacts from every culture that they had a hand on. And they are actually, there's a whole section, a wing of the museum that talks about the history of money from the beginning. And they have got cowrie shells, and cowrie shells that was used for bartering. People would go collect these beautiful looking shells and then trade it in for food and things like that. And the cowrie shells were used for that. The only problem with that system was there was an unlimited number of cowrie shells out there, right? So anybody could pick it up and at any given time. There's no scarcity to it. And the cowrie shells changed over time and bartering. And I would make like if you come to the continental United States, if you were able to make clothes, you could trade the clothes for food or trade the clothes for wood or do that. People would chop wood and everything was bartering. The farmers, so then we had money, but money today is not what it was yesterday as we know it. Do you guys know what the oldest living currency is right now? Who has what is the oldest? And I'm not talking about gold and silver. I'm not talking about precious metals. I'm talking about in transactions, transactional currency. Anybody know the answer to that? Type it in the chat box. And I'm going to come back to answer that. But our current system of money with this is 45 years old. Say, whoa, what do you mean, Brandon? What do you mean 45 years old? There's always been dollars before. No. This version of money that we know it today is only 45 years old. How many of you are older than 45? I'm 45 years old. In my entire life, I've dealt only with this form of currency my entire life. That's all I knew. Why? In 1976, the US dollar was officially decoupled from gold. In 1971, almost 50 years ago, it'll be 50 years next year, 1971. That's 50 years now? Yeah, 50 years now. The law was made where the US dollar was taken off the gold standard. It didn't become official until 1976. And you'd be surprised how many people don't even know that. They think, well, cash is king. Cash is US dollars, everything. It's backed by gold. No, it's not. It's backed by confidence. There's a difference. Confidence and gold. There's a difference. Nobody knows the answer to that. What is the world's oldest currency that is still in circulation? Anybody have the answer to that? I'm going to let it out there for a couple more minutes. So my entire life, I've only been this standard. Now, if you're older than 45, or if you're older than 50, you've experienced two changes. You lived in an era when it was actually backed by gold, and now you live in an era where it's not backed by gold. In the United States, it's probably the biggest thievery in human history, when the government forced all Americans to turn in their gold back when, the New Deal, World War II, and the Great Depression, and all that stuff. Uh-oh. My cousin Marnita got it right. The answer is the pound. The British pound has been in existence for hundreds of years. It's what it is. What it was then is what it is now. Only difference is the value of that British pound over the centuries. The world's oldest currency. That's only a couple of hundred years old. Mankind's been here for a very, very long time. So money has changed over time. And when you go to that museum in London, on the wall, it shows you over the different ages how money has transformed to where it is today. And at the end, on the wall, it's got two things. It's got something like this, plastic, credit cards. And then it's got this. That's what I found interesting. Cell phones, and then an insignia for this. See this? Bitcoin. No, this is, it's just real metal. It's worth something. But this is what they have at the end as the future of money. So another day, I will really get into the history of money. But today we're going to talk about the future. What the future holds. And gold, everybody said gold is the oldest. Gold is not money. Gold is an asset. You can't walk into a grocery store and buy milk with gold. You can't walk into a car dealership and buy a car with gold. It's an asset, like real estate and things like that. It's just the oldest asset in the world. It's not really actually money. There was a time in human history where gold was used transactionally. There was a time for that. But why is it no longer that way today? Because it is too cumbersome. Can you imagine walking around carting gold everywhere or pieces of it? and getting robbed all the time, like it's the wild, wild west. So it just wasn't convenient anymore. So since I use the word convenience, the future of money all has to do with convenience. Bitcoin is not money. Bitcoin is not the future of money. Bitcoin is digital gold. So if you thought that's what I was going to talk about, you're wrong. You know, oh, well, he's Bitcoin branded. He's got a big B on the back there. I mean, this is for Bitcoin. The future of money is obviously Bitcoin. No. The future of money is not even cryptocurrency. No. The future of money is just one word: digital. That's it. Digital. So in our lifetimes, we went from, and I'm going to speak for the baby boomers, we went from physical dollars on the gold standard to leading the gold standard to now dealing with plastic, debit cards and credit cards. How many people walk around with cash? Does anybody walk around with cash anymore? Rarely. Rarely. Not people do that anymore because it's more convenient to just pull out my debit card or my credit card. You know, before you'd have to swipe it, and then they get the chip on the card that all you have to do is stick it in the machine. And now they got the tap feature where all you have to do is tap on the screen for half a second and it charges. You don't even have to stick it in anywhere. If you go to Asia, and Asia's been doing this for probably the last decade, they don't have cash. They buy everything with their cell phone. Their bank account is attached, and a lot of them get paid in their company coins or whatever they want to call it. And it's attached to their phone. And when they go to buy something, they just scan it or they hit it. They flash the phone. The phone's got all their information on it to make the payment because it's convenient. Alibaba really made that accessible in China, Jack Ma. They're ahead of the United States. The United States, as Americans, we're starting to catch up on that because a lot of people have Google Pay or PayPal or Apple Pay or Cash App or whatever, where their debit and credit cards is attached to those services. Those services is then attached to your phone. So you never have to pull out your wallet or a card. You just pay with your phone or they scan the phone. A lot of reward points. Like whenever my wife goes to Starbucks, you know, she never pays with cash. She never even pays with a debit card. She pulls her phone up and the guy leans out the window and scans the phone. And I was like, well, what just happened? And because I don't do Starbucks. My wife does. And she was like, no, I get points if I use, the app and this and that, and I can put money on it and blah, blah, blah from my bank. And I have to do is show the phone and they scan it and I get credited. And it's convenient to do that. And that is where the world is leading, to convenience. So the next evolution of money is not cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is not going to replace fiat money. Or in other words, fiat money means something that is centralized, not controlled by, or that's controlled by a government. Central cryptocurrencies is not going to replace that. They can work side by side, but what will happen is that government-controlled money, as we know it, dollar and everything, will become digitized in the space. CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, will be probably the biggest. You got to get used to that term because every single bank is going to have their own CBDC for internal use. And then if you're in the United States, you're going to have a Fed dollar, where your money that's in the banks will be represented by the federal dollar. So they'll either give you a special app key coded to your phone. They'll give you a special debit card. They've been practicing this already. If we go back to COVID 2020 and the first stimulus checks, And if you or unemployment checks, you don't get them in the mail anymore. They give you this debit card, and the money just goes straight to your card. So all you got to do is use the card. You don't have to wait in the mail for it to come. So they've been practicing this concept. So now imagine all the money in your bank. We'll use debit and credit card, but there will be no more cash. It will be a cashless society. You already start to see places that say you need to use exact change because we have a coin shortage. Why in the world do you have a coin shortage when nobody's using coins anymore? Everybody's using their debit card. Maybe that's why, because coins are not circulating hands. So there's a coin shortage. The question that I ask myself is, how can they bring a complete cashless society about fast? And unfortunately, there's only two things that can take place. A major global natural disaster that collapses the world economies. And when people realize that the dollar on your hand is not worth toilet paper. That's one way. And there's a run on the banks and whatnot. The second way is by I don't know if you want to call it a false flag operation or World War III, some major man-made collapse like what happened in 2008, when we had the greatest recession since the Great Depression. It was not natural. It was greed. The subprime loans fiasco from 2000. Has anybody, any of you guys recovered from that yet? I was laid off because of that. I lost my job because of that incident, 2008, and I got laid off in 2009. That's when I got laid off for the last time. And then when I got another job, I quit that job full time for home-based business. But when you manufacture something that's man-made and everybody decides to run on the bank, you realize we've gotten ourselves in such a pickle that there is more money in bank accounts than there is money physically in the world. See, you should be able to pull all your money out of the bank in cash. It's your business what you do with it after that is your money. But if every single person attempted to do so, there's not enough cash in the banks or the ATM machines to call that order. And what happens is the ATM machines run dry. All of a sudden you go to the bank and there's locks and chains on the door, and mass panic and economy goes down like that overnight. Don't think it can't happen. It's happened before multiple times. So what the government will do is say, hey, listen, don't panic, everybody. All of your money has been recorded digitally in the banks. We're going to honor that. The government's going to come in and bail you out. And we're going to give you a little debit card, and we're going to call it the Fed coin. We're going to nationalize all your money in the banks. And we're going to force the banks to honor it. Now, if the government is slick, they'll say, we'll honor up to 50% of your money. Because that's how they do things that way. Not 100%, but you'll at least get 50% of your money, and we're now going to create a new system with this cashless society with the Fed coin. China already has their own token. Russia has their own token, the ruble coin. Iran's going to do the same thing. Now, those nations are doing it for different reasons. They're doing it to avoid United States sanctions, and they want to undermine the US dollar as a world reserve currency. And if I was them, I would do the same exact thing. Why? Because the United States has been dominant on the world stage since World War II. And these nations are like, how are we going to let these Americans that are brand new, they're only 245 years old, how are we going to let them dictate what goes on in the world when we've been here for millennia? We want our rightful place back. So they're making their moves for a different agenda than but either way, this is inevitable. We already are living in somewhat of a cashless society. We've been preparing for this for decades. Debit and credit card. Next up is no cash, period. Now, somebody must say, well, isn't that dangerous? What happens if we lose electricity? What happens if we lose electricity right now? Anyway, we go back to the Stone Ages, period. So that's not a valid argument. Well, if there's no cash, what happens if I lose electricity and isn't everything wiped out? No. No. That's the whole point of blockchain. But when you digitize everything, now money can move hands and exchange hands much faster, much quicker, much seamless, recorded better. You actually can bring down criminal activity because criminals are not running around with Tether and Trezor wallets for Bitcoin. No, they're still doing 90% of all of their crimes with physical cash, not through bank accounts, not through Cash App, not through Zelle. They're actually going face to face, making the deal and handing over the cash for whatever good they're trying to get. So by making it all digital, somewhat traceable, if it's not crypto. But there will be a centralized blockchain, a centralized cryptocurrency, I can't say a cryptocurrency, digital currency ecosystem run by the banks and the governments, while at the same time they're going to attempt to ban Bitcoin and everything else that's decentralized. You know the difference? Decentralized means it's controlled by the people, not a government, not an entity, not a CEO, not Western Union, complete autonomy. That's the whole point of cryptocurrency. And the governments have been fighting it ever since it came out. And once they realize that they can't fight it anymore, it's inevitable, then they co-opt it. Okay, all right, we'll create our own digital currency, digital environment that we are still on top, that we control, that the people will still need to use to survive. So we're right at the 30-minute mark. What is the future of money? Digital currency. So imagine a world where there's no cash, there's no coins, no pennies, nickels, dimes, not even the debit and credit card. It can get to the point where it can be biometric. Your thumb is your payment. Your retina, your eye is your payment. You know, you want to make a payment, just put your eye up, look at it, and it's connected straight to your digital account. All the video games that we play will have real world digital currency. Everything we do is still transactional. That will never change. How we do these transactions will. And if you're sitting there saying to yourself, that's not true, it'll never happen, it doesn't matter what you think or you believe. This is going to happen anyway. This is going to happen anyway, whether we like it or not, whether we're prepared for it or not, whether we believe it or not, whether we endorse it or not is irrelevant. And on your job, when you know that shit got real, is when you go to your job one day and they say, you need to create either our own internal crypto wallet or digital wallet, or you need to have a crypto wallet because we're not paying you in cryptocurrencies. And you don't have a choice anymore. It's just going to happen and you will have to adapt. Is that old saying, adapt or die? Ferdinand says, can you say something on the Wakanda Inu project? No, I am not a spokesperson for Wakanda Inu. I am holding it. I can't say that. I bought Wakanda Inu and I'm holding it. But that's as much as I'm going to say about that project. I think they're onto something big. So we'll see what happens. But it is a part of my portfolio. So what can you do now to prepare for this future? Education. Educate yourself. And then turn around and educate your children. because this is not going to be taught in school for a while. And you want to be ahead of the game. That's why I created the crypto educational courses. And I have at least 60 more videos coming from this space. The topics is going to be NFTs, smart contracts, and metaverse. That's going to be the new courses coming up soon. So that is it. I hope you guys learned something new from this late night crypto talk. Again, this is a topic I can talk about for a long time. I could put you in dream mode about, just imagine, remember Ready Player One or Sword Art Online, if you've ever seen that anime series on Netflix. The future is here. The glasses that I wear are going to be connected, wireless, everything. I got brand new hearing aid the other day, and this sucker is connected to my smartphone. So I can actually pull up on my phone. So my son calls it like a bionic ear. I can actually pull it up on my phone and I can change my environment. And you see that. Noisy environment, universal, outdoor, reverberant rooms. What is that? What is that? Let me click on that. Oh, I clicked on it and I heard the ding in my ear and it changed. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, that sounds better. Reverberant rooms. So I can actually listen to music on it. I can actually answer phone calls on it. Hey, I just want to hear better, all right? I don't need all that other stuff, but it's all here. And they're going to have it with your glasses. Your glasses will have facial recognition where I'm looking at people and I'm looking at things and it's going to pop up in front of my own screen and give me information about that person or that menu or that food or whatever. The future, if you want to get wowed, go to a blockchain expo where you see virtual reality and augmented reality and what is to come. Back to the Future couldn't even think on these terms, on what we're about to experience. And my generation, Generation X, will be the last generation, because a lot of things is going to happen even after the baby boomers pass on. But Generation X will still be here to see this. So Generation X, we were young enough to know what life was like before Nintendo. Oh, if you want a good family movie, what I love during the Christmas season, I always watch Sandlot, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, It's a Wonderful Life, you know, those kind of things. But there's a new one now called 8-Bit Christmas. 8-Bit Christmas. If you were a kid in the 80s, you're going to love it. You're going to love that. It's going to bring back a lot of memories. First time getting your Nintendo set. But my generation is young enough or old enough to know what it's like to play outside with no cell phones, no pagers, no, I could leave the house at 7:30, 8 in the morning after we had breakfast. My parents have no idea where I'm at until I came home for lunch. I came home for dinner. And then after that, when the streetlights come on, they literally had no idea. They had, well, let me rephrase that. They have a general idea. They know we're out playing and who we might be playing with, but they have no idea exactly where we might be. You know, I could take off, and as long as I'm back at a certain time, my parents wouldn't even start to worry about anything. I can't even fathom that now. My youngest is 14. I can't even imagine him doing the things we did as kids and not be worried or worried, thinking about that all the time. But we had that freedom. It's like, how do we survive? How do we survive that age? Then we got into the Atari, ColecoVision, Nintendo, Sega Genesis, NES, PlayStations. We got to experience the very first computers in our school. You know, when I was in elementary school, we had on our computer lab, we had the Apples. And then I think the next year, I think I was in third grade, second or third grade, we got a computer in every room. And we only had one, just one. If we were lucky, we had two computers in the room. And we would rotate in the class. Us kids had different times that we could be on the computer doing what we needed to do. The Oregon Trail, I remember being hooked on that back in the day. And then next thing you know, I remember when we got our first computer at home, our very first home computer. Just think about that. Not connected to the internet, it's just a computer. I remember when the internet came and AOL dial-up, and then it said something about emails. I remember going to college and there was still no internet. We had what's called like the intranet, where the computer lab, all the computers were connected to each other. And then we figured out a way to get it connected to the computer lab at Clark and at Spelman. And after dinner on a boring night, we would be down there playing freaking Doom. What was another game we played? It was like an MMO, massively online player game, but we played with each other. And we would play school against school. We have our own little tournaments, but we didn't have computers in our dorm room. I didn't get my first personal computer, because it wasn't even a laptop, until my junior year in college, 1997, I think. I had my personal computer in my dorm room. I didn't get my first cell phone until the 2000s, somewhere around there. Pagers, I'm ready. I had a pager. I had a pager in 97, 98, maybe that, or 96, 97. But to see where we are today compared to where we were, like my son's generation, this is all he knows. He looked at a phone jack in the house and he actually asked, what is that? A phone jack in the wall. He was like, what is that? And I had to scratch. I'm like, are you serious? He had no idea, no clue. You know, or even a home phone. How many do any of you guys still have a home phone? I have a home line only because it came with a cable, but I don't remember the last time we ever made a phone call or received one on that thing. Cell phones. Everybody's got their own personal cell phone. If I had a cell phone in high school, oh man, I'd be so bad. I had to use the house phone and I couldn't tie it up all the time. And if I'm trying to have a private conversation, somebody in the house could pull up the phone in the other place of the house and listen to what we're talking about. Can you imagine that right now? If you're talking on your cell phone, somebody else could pick it up at any time and listen to you. Wow. We've seen and come through a lot. But the next 10 years, it's gonna be, I'll be 55, so I'm still young enough to do stuff. I'll be playing video games until my fingers can't move fast enough anymore. But it's an exciting time to be alive, to see this transition from where we used to be to where we're going, and the new money in the world. And that new money, the future of money, is digital. The future of everything is digital, even relationships. It's I tease my kids, because I know when I was their age, what I was doing and what was on my mind, and always wanted to play. But these kids today is different. You know, they have a different way of socializing, a different mindset when it comes to communicating. You know, I don't personally understand it. I use the same technology they use today, but I grew up in a different era. So I know how to have social skills, communicate. I look to have that camaraderie, that social time with other people sometimes. But these kids today, like I say, I can't say it's bad, because every generation looks at the next like, well, they're crazy. They're just different. That's all I can say. Because my parents' generation looked at us like we were crazy. And my grandparents' generation, the greatest generation, World War II, looked at my parents' generation as a bunch of lazy hippies. All right, so that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Marnita, for the topic for tonight. And if anybody would ever have a topic that they want me to cover for late night crypto, just shoot me a message. And if I'm vibing to it, yeah, we'll do that on a late night crypto talk night. I still have a topic, two topics. I can really go into detail about the history of money, or I would rather talk about money is energy. And that's a series that I cover whenever I do traveling, when I do trainings and Bitcoin boot camps and stuff like that. To understand the money in your hand, you have to understand where it came from. And then you have to understand where it's going. And there's a reason why most people are broke. I didn't say poor. I said they're broke. And most people are broke. They don't understand what money actually is and how to wield it. It's like you can give a sword. If you had a sword and you put it in the hands of somebody that's, it's the most deadliest samurai sword, right? You put it in the hands of somebody that's never held a sword before, they have a sword. You put it in the hands of a ninja, it becomes more than just a sword. It's extension of their arm. It's a deadly weapon. Same thing with money. If you put money in the hands of an uneducated person, it can be dangerous. But you put money in the hands of somebody that is educated, it's used as a tool. Money is energy. Money is a tool that most people don't know how to wield. They don't know how to wield money because they don't understand it. All they know is, I need money to pay my bills. I need money to buy food. I need money to pay for clothes. I need money for doctor. That's your extent of knowledge of what money is. Wealthy people know the secret of what money is and how to wield it. How to make money make more money for you. How to make money be your employee. You're the boss, not the money. All right, that's a whole nother talk. So with that, Bitcoin Brandon out. I will see you guys. What day is today? Is Monday. Tomorrow, iLearning Crypto, Crypto Talk tomorrow morning, followed by, I'm doing the batch note presentation update tomorrow. Wednesday will be my next crypto talk. Oh, I did say that I'm getting in on the NFT space. I made that. The world, the universe is funny. When I made that statement publicly, I really didn't know what I was getting into and what was about the avalanche that was about to come on me. So tomorrow, I think if we get the link, will be the very first time I buy an NFT. It will be tomorrow. I've been watching it, but I've never gotten in on the NFT game. I've been watching it. So tomorrow, I'm actually going to purchase my first NFT. It's three BNB worth. Those of you who have been sending me a private message know what I'm talking about. This is not for everybody. I encourage you to do research about NFTs before you just jump headlong into it. I'm willing to take the risk because I think NFTs is going to be the hottest thing going in 2022 on the crypto space. NFTs in gaming in the crypto space is going to be one of the hottest things for the next 6 to 12 months. So I need to get in on the game. I can't just sit on the sidelines and watch. If I want to learn it, I jump in the water. Then Wednesday, I have a special guest that has a new NFT project that is cheap. It's cheaper. I think that one's only $10. So where 3BNB might be out of range for a lot of people, everybody can do $10. So I have a special guest on my crypto talk on Wednesday. They want to talk about their NFT. So I'm going to give them that opportunity to do so because it's cheap and everybody can do it. And that's about it. Do I have any presentations I'm doing tomorrow? No, I won't do anything until Wednesday and Thursday. All right, guys, enjoy that's right, Marnie, the play to earn gaming, P2E. I'm about to go watch wrestling. I will see you all tomorrow on iLearning Crypto Talk tomorrow morning. Bitcoin Brandon out. Take care. Bye-bye.